What up YouTube, it's your boy ProfessorStix and I'm back again with another Call of Duty Warzone video. Today we're going to be comparing Season 3's XM4 versus the GROZA. We'll be comparing the stats, looking at the recoil pattern, and I'll be sharing the best attachments. We're going to find out, does the XM4 rise into the viable weapons for close range ARs in Warzone? If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I make Warzone tips and tricks videos and I compare the best weapons in Warzone so you can rise to the top. Let's get into it. When we're looking at the weapon stats, the XM4 has an ADS speed of 248 milliseconds compared to the GROZA, which recently had its ADS speed reduced. It now has an ADS speed of 231 milliseconds. The movement speed comes in at 4.62 meters per second for the XM4, and the movement speed for the GROZA is 4.8 meters per second. So we can see here that the GROZA does have a slight edge over the XM4. When we're looking at the reload speed, the XM4 comes in at 2.24 seconds, and the GROZA has a reload speed of 1.98 seconds. The rate of fire for the XM4 is 727 rounds per minute, and the GROZA has a rate of fire of 754 rounds per minute. And so again here, the GROZA does have a slight edge over the XM4, but let's take a look at the damage profile because that's where the XM4 really shines. When we're looking at the damage to the head, the XM4 does 48 damage to the head, and it takes 6 shots to down a fully armored opponent, compared to the GROZA, which does 45 damage to the head and also takes 6 shots to down a fully armored opponent. When we're looking at the chest damage, the XM4 does 32 damage and it takes 8 shots to down a fully armored opponent, versus a GROZA that does 30 damage to the chest and it takes 9 shots to down a fully armored opponent. Now keep in mind, both of these weapons do have a damage drop off. The XM4 comes in at 22 meters and the GROZA has a damage fall off of 31 meters. Let's take a look at the time to kill. If you hit all of your headshots because you're just an absolute unit, the XM4 is going to down a fully armored opponent in 413 milliseconds. Compare that to the GROZA, which downs a fully armored opponent in 398 milliseconds. But if you are hitting all of your chest shots, the XM4 is going to down a fully armored opponent in 578 milliseconds compared to the GROZA, which does that in 637 milliseconds. And so this is where the XM4 starts to rise above the GROZA because the XM4 is more forgiving. You can hit all of your headshots and down a fully armored opponent faster than the GROZA. If you hit one headshot with the XM4, you're not going to reduce your time to kill. But if you hit 2 or 3 headshots, you reduce your time to kill to 495 milliseconds, and that is a 7-shot kill. With the GROZA, if you hit 1 or 2 headshots, you are going to reduce your time to kill to 557 milliseconds, and that's 8 shots to kill. If you hit 3 headshots, that's 7 shots to kill. You are going to down a fully armored opponent in 477 milliseconds, which is really, really good. And so both of these weapons are very balanced. I like the time to kill on the XM4 and the GROZA. I would put the XM4 just over the GROZA because if you hit 2 headshots, you are going to enter that 400 range time to kill, which is very good in Warzone. All right, so let's take a look at the recoil pattern. We have the XM4 on the left and the GROZA on the right. The GROZA has the standard S-shaped curved recoil pattern that we're used to seeing with ARs. The XM4 is a pretty easy recoil pattern to control. It's mostly vertical. Now keep in mind that we don't have an underbarrel on this, and after about 15 to 20 bullets, it starts to veer off into the right. However, you're going to be using this close range, so most of the recoil that you're going to have to deal with is just pulling straight down because you're going to be in that close range proximity. Both of these weapons are going to be very easy to control. Let's get into the situational use. Now the XM4 and GROZA are excellent at close to mid-range gunfights. The TTK for the XM4 is very competitive and it can be a very good secondary for a sniper or another long-range AR. The GROZA has amazing movement, and so the GROZA and the XM4 are very good for run and gun playstyles, and with a sniper you can still be aggressive and get into those close to mid-range gunfights. Let's talk about the attachments. All right, so here are the attachments for the XM4. You're going to want to go with the agency suppressor, the 13.5-inch task force barrel. This is going to give you bullet velocity, strafe speed, and effective damage range. You don't need to worry about the negatives on the recoil control. As we saw in the recoil pattern, we are going to be able to control this XM4. For the ammunition, you're going to want to go with the 60-round mag. Then you're going to want to go with the serpent wrap. This is going to increase your ADS speed. You're going to get hit on the sprint to fire, but not to worry, because on the Raider stock, we're going to get back that sprint to fire, and we're going to get aim walking move speed and ADS firing move speed, which is going to allow us to strafe and move around very effectively, especially if you're doing those jump shots. you're gonna see that you're kind of flying around with this build. For the GROZA, pretty similar build. We're gonna go with the GRU suppressor, the 16.2-inch GRU composite. There is no cons to this barrel. It's bullet velocity and effective damage range. That is absolutely great. You can go with the CMV mil spec, which is going to increase your damage and also improve your strafe speed, but you are going to get a hit on the effective damage range. So if you're using it purely as a close range weapon, you don't really care about the mid range, then you definitely want to go with this option because it is going to increase your damage. But as for me, this is how I run it. No underbarrel. We're going to go with the 60 round drum mag, the serpent wrap, which is going to give you that ADS speed back. You're going to get hit on the sprint to fire. When we add the KGB pad, we're going to get that sprint to fire back, the aim walking movement speed, and the ADS firing speed, which is going to allow us to move left and right, back and forth with extreme speed. Here are my final thoughts. The XM4 was not touched in the recent nerfs or buffs. However, because of the hit to the FFAR and the GROZA, the XM4 slides into the viable options in the AR category. The mobility on the XM4 is impressive, and that's why a lot of the Cold War weapons shine right now, because they are much more viable than the modern warfare counterparts. At the very moment in Warzone, we have over 5 viable close to mid-range ARs. The XM4, the GROZA, the FFAR, the FARA, the RAM7, and a few underrated options like the AS Val or the M4A1, which is the modern warfare version of the XM4. Y'all let me know down in the comments below, what are some other ARs that are good for close to mid-range gunfights, and let me know if I should compare them down below in the comments. All right, that's it for me. As always, guys, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can find your way back for more Call of Duty content. Also, I am streaming over on Twitch. Link will be in the description below. As always, make sure you drop into Verdansk and frag out. Peace.